I'd like to call order the City Council meeting, City of Bel Air Beach, Monday, February 1st, 2016. If all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Patty, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Pamela Gunn. Here. Councilmember Mitchell Crock.
Here.
Councilmember John Petrowski.
Here.
Councilmember Wanda Schwer. Here. Vice Mayor Leslie Notero. Here. Mayor Rob Baldwin.
Here.
City Manager Nancy Gonzalez. Here. Finance Officer Melanie Cruzona. Here. City Attorney Paul Marino.
Here.
Community Services Director Alan Godfrey.
Here.
And Councilmember Gerald Cohen was unable to attend.
Thank you, Patty. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda? Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Before the motion to approve it.
I don't know.
To amend it to
Close
include
enough.
a discussion of increasing the rate for rental of the community center and other costs associated with that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, 7A or, yeah, you can put it in. Okay, so we have a second for the amended agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Item number 2, approval of January 4th City Council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Citizens' comments. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to a 3-minute presentation on any subject that is not on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? All right, seeing no one, we will close the citizens' comment portion. Item number 4, consideration of appointment to the City of Bel Air Beach Park and Recreation Board. Patty?
Mr. Greg Moran has expressed an interest in being considered for appointment to the Park and Recreation Board, and staff would like to request that council appoint Mr. Moran. And I believe, Mr. Moran, is that you?
Here.
All right. Any comments? No motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Item number 5, continued discussion on underground utilities citywide. So I know, Alan, do you want to brief? I know you've been talking, you were here at the last meeting. Give us a quick update.
Oh, yeah. Okay, staff has had the opportunity to meet with Duke Energy, Verizon, and Bright House. Duke Energy has come back and we've divided up the area that, excuse me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? At the Donato, Alita, 22nd, and Louisa. Duke Energy's recommendations was to start at the very, northeast end of Donato. We was looking at a budget figure of $150,000 per phase. That's going to give us about 30 homes from Donato toward Alita, gets us down just past Alita. Second phase will come in the following budget year. We'll take Alita, then we'll come back, finish off down to 22nd, another $150,000, and then we'll go to Louisa. The thing you want to keep in mind is that if we have the opportunity to budget more funds for this project, we can get done faster. And the extra cost in putting in what we call pool boxes will be less. That's always an option when we come back to the budget cycle that y'all will be able to decide on. That's Duke Energy. We're sitting there, we're waiting for the budget funds to be approved. We can have a contract with them in October, and we're ready to go. So, Verizon. Verizon's interesting. You only have 1,500 feet of copper wire on your poles out there. Verizon has just been bought out, I don't know if y'all know this or not, by Frontier. Frontier is going all Fios. The only cost we're gonna have from Verizon will be to take that 1,500 feet of wire off their poles and remove 13 poles a day long. The one thing that I did bring up and I asked them to look at was what we call salvage fee. That copper is worth some money. We need a credit. That's where staff is taking that. And so we're negotiating that at this point in time. Bright House, I just talked with Ted today. They should have their cost to me by the 15th of February. I think, as I was talking with the city manager, that Verizon and Bright House might be able to start that project sooner than later. I think we might be able to massage the budget, as we would say, for funds, just depending on what Bright House comes in at. But I'm pretty sure that we can still go ahead and start Verizon's. Just getting the communication lines off of the poles will be a big improvement out there. So that's where we're at with the undergrounding. So, any questions?
Did you say Verizon, or who bought them again?
Frontier brought Verizon.
Are they ready to go at any point, basically?
Verizon, the Fios lines is already in.
Okay,
That service is already there.
okay.
So they have, all its only cost for us will be to take that line off the poles when the poles come down, so.
And that's pretty much at any time, right?
Actually, and that's why I say I think we might be able to start that sooner than later. We're gonna get a solid cost on that and see where we're at on that.
Alan, isn't Bright House being bought out by either Comcast or Time Warner
I'm not privy to any of that information.
until they're on
Yeah.
the final stage?
My negotiations right now is still with Bright House. So, I think it's Ted Bingham.
Oh, it'll always be Bright House.
Yeah.
It's just-
But the one thing that we did discuss with Bright House, and I asked him to give us a survey, we cannot have the information as far as the exact resident that has that service, but if we have a road that does not have that service down it, staff's view on that is we don't pay. They don't, if they want to put the line down there, they're going to put it down themselves. So that's, unless I'm given further directions. So that's where we're at.
I have a couple of questions. First of all right, you're saying you're gonna do, Donato and Alita and so on. That's right in the middle of the city. Wouldn't it be better to start, like, if you're gonna do underground, from like Belle Isle already has underground, to continue that way to go south?
Well, that's our lines, it's the furthest east. So you actually, that's the furthest at the end of the service. That would be, even if we, no matter where, if we had $1 million, that would still be where they start from. Because that's the furthest dead end line they come through. It's even out further, I think, than Howard, because of the number of residents that's on that service. So, yeah.
Okay.
I ask you to again to hold, get close to the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
I can hear you bad out here.
All right, yes?
Yeah, I hear you.
And then the cost per person or per household, do they have a breakdown on what it's gonna cost for each household to connect to underground?
For Duke Energy, that we're having to go back and look and see which individuals don't have that service, because we have a lot of people on Donato already that has that underground service, so that would obviously be no cost at all to them.
Well, usually Duke won't run lines to the house.
No, they don't run it. This is only going to be, the resident will have to run that line to,
Right. And I
Duke
think I've
service.
said now, they're gonna have to change their circuit box to go underground.
yes, they will. Yeah, and that would be the resident's cost, yes.
Okay.
And that could be, I mean, we really wouldn't be able to say, because that could be, one contractor might say, hey, I'm gonna do it for $5, the other contractor might say it's gonna cost you $55, so. We will have a brochure to put together that Duke Energy is working on now that will give them exactly what they will have to do. And that's what we'll be in touch with each one of the residents as we get closer to the project.
I talked to a couple electricians, and they're talking possibly up to, range to up to $3,000 or $4,000 per house.
Yeah, it would really depend on if some of the electrical in the house has to be brought up to code. That's another thing that the homeowner's gonna have to be totally aware of. So there's a lot of issues that, you know, that the homeowner will have to address, yes.
Pam?
I think you answered most of my questions, but you had mentioned that it was 150,000 for 30 homes.
It's about 33, it's gonna be different because we're trying to locate what we call the pool boxes at some corner where we have a larger road right of way, so we don't have to go in and ask for easements or anything of that nature from the residents. We have a fairly large road right of way there. If we can maintain these pool boxes, and that's where that cable will come up to be tied together for the next phase. So that's really designating the number of homes. Now, every one of the areas that we're looking at, they're not, I think there was one area that was only going to be, I want to say maybe $110,000. So it really depends on the location of the pool boxes and the location of the transformers that designates.
Any other question?
I'm sorry, does the city have a plan for passing the actual construction cost of all three services to each of the affected property owners?
No, that's not, no. You're not gonna, each one of the services, well, Verizon, there's not gonna be a cost because they're not even putting anything in the ground. Bright House will have their own contractors, and so will Duke Energy. All this is gonna be done by directional bore. There's no open trenches.
The question I have is, the total cost to the city, is this going to be passed to the property owners?
The 150,000.
That's through, yeah, through their ad valorem taxes. It's not gonna be, you're not doing assessments or anything like that. We're gonna be budgeting for this, just like we do budgeting for storm drain issues, road resurfacing, street lights.
So you're going to pass the cost to everybody in the city for the special area you're working on, is that right?
Well, this is the start of the program to get through the whole city,
Except by the city that already has it.
except for the residents that already has it.
Right. Well, I think the question really is that, and there's been a lot of discussion, of course, over the years about how this gets funded, how it gets paid for. I mean, I think what I'm hearing you say is if this would get paid for through the by the city, by existing tax base.
Right.
That's what
Through
you're,
your
that's
ad
what
valorem
you're saying.
taxes, yeah.
And I mean, that's, of course, a way to do it.
Right, it was
But-
just like, and I'll still use the storm drain. Belle Isle, their elevations are higher, so I'm not gonna have to do any storm drain improvements there. They're already at higher elevation than, especially the older part of the city.
Mhm.
So it's the same budgeting process.
Mhm.
If you look for, one of the big questions I had, well, what about the people that has the lines behind the house? What purpose would there be there? Well, once we take the lines out from behind the house, you lose that utility easement. You won't have to have that utility easement, so you'll have a better purpose for the use of your property there.
Mhm.
So that's,
Okay, and normally these estimates, you know, to get a binding estimate, you have to pay for that. So how reliable are these numbers? I mean, I know they're using internal methods and there's other ways to do it, but how reliable are these numbers?
they're solid. We're probably 80% done with the engineering.
Mhm.
So when I talked with Tina, with Duke Energy, by us giving them a dollar figure, they had to go down and do the engineering to figure out just exactly how far they could go for that. Instead of saying, what's it gonna cost, they have to do the engineering to let us know. It's sort of, it's the manipulation, you might say, of the way a project's done. I think you know, Mitch.
Yes, John.
Well, unlike your storm drain that eventually you're gonna have to redo, this is a one-time fee. How long is this gonna, that ad valorem gonna be added to property owners' taxes?
Well, no, this is just in your, whatever, we're looking at the budget, and what I've been looking at the budget with the projects that we're completing now in our CIP programs. We're looking at the purchase of trucks, we're looking at other improvements that's gonna be done this year. I don't think we're gonna see that much of an increase. I think we're still gonna be able to maintain it with what, you know, the budget that we have. I'm looking at about 3 or 4 projects that we're gonna be coming down, you know, and I'm looking at what we've been putting away for these CIP projects that's, you know, been completed. That funding can be picked up for these other projects.
Right, but this is gonna be like a one-time fee of $150,000 or whatever, each set 30 houses or whatever.
No. This is gonna be coming out of, when I sit down and do a CIP project, when is this coming up, Melanie? June is when we start our budget process? March? April, yeah. As I'm sitting up and I'm looking at the projects that the city, that y'all have asked for us to look at, this is gonna just become one of them projects that's gonna go in the CIP fund. And we set up our budget to cover that $150,000. It won't be us coming back and saying, okay, you're gonna get a bill for $20,000 for undergrounding. This is just gonna be a line item in our CIP program that's gonna cover undergrounding. It'll be, you'll see the same thing as we do with our roads. Because we have that line item for street resurfacing. You're gonna see the same thing.
Well, I mean, and this is, again, it's a budget discussion that's gonna have to happen. I mean, we're sort of setting the precedent by doing these 30 homes that we're gonna pay for undergrounding for the city, which is not just $150,000 and several $1 million. So it's a decision, I won't be here for that, but y'all can, I'm sure, have a good discussion. But I mean, that's the, because you're talking about starting it, you're not talking about finishing it. You know, the big picture would be to do them all.
This would be, and it's like I said, when we come back to council with our budget, council's got that option of saying, hey, we want staff to go back and see if you can find $300,000, and let's get more of it done. $150,000 is what staff had established just because it's a manageable figure for some of our projects that we've been doing here in the past. So council could have that option of saying, hey, let's look at whatever options we got, let's do $300,000 or let's do $400,000. And that would make the project larger.
We have to have 51% of the homeowners in favor of it?
No. See, they're not, I mean, they're talking about the city funding this.
Right,
Yeah.
but what
But I mean, it
I'm
doesn't, no.
what happens if someone says, you know, I really don't want underground, I can't afford it or something? Now, there's X amount of people that say that.
There's no cost to the homeowner, the way it is.
to hook up.
Well,
So, I mean, there's to hook up.
but now, all right, when we talked with Duke Energy, that was one of the questions that staff had come up with and said, hey, what are some of the options if somebody doesn't want that? Well, we have that situation, or Bel Air Shores has that situation, that it undergrounds to a pole on the property owner's side of the property line. They go up the pole and go over to the house. So, but then the rest of the lines will be underground.
Right.
So, I mean, they do have that option.
Right, and it's possible they can use those poles for lights anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably be going to concrete poles. That's the standard that's putting in now, so, for our street lighting.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Alan. I guess the next item here has to do with additional parking at Morgan Park. You have a quick update. I know you've been working on that
Yeah.
also.
Last week, I had met with Dual Associates. They came up with a design that staff and we have looked at that's going to provide us with 9 extra parking spaces, which will meet our requirements. We still are gonna have to go back to the county. Of course, the county has been very good to us with respects to allowing us to entertain the ideas of adding X number of spaces into the road right-of-way on Gulf Boulevard. Dual Associates will have that construction cost and the engineering drawings ready by, it's supposed to be this Friday, I believe that's the last time when I talked with Al on that. So we're ready to go. Once I get that engineering drawings done, I'll call Tom and we'll meet with the county and get their blessings and then proceed for budgeting. So
What was the requirements for beach renourishment? How many?
I think we were 7 short or 8 short. Eight
And
short.
we're getting 9 out
we're
of them?
getting that.
We have one extra.
So that's another priority, I guess, for the next budget cycle.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Comments, questions? Okay. All right, thank you, Alan. I guess the last one we had for you while you're there is the update on the Bayside Park.
Okay. Once again, Dual Associates was our engineer that we got to do the survey of the property here. When we went back to look at this piece of property here, is commingled with the park area there. We did not have a current up-to-date survey with both pieces of property shown together. So we had Dual Associates come in, survey this, survey Bayside Park. We had some interesting discussions with as far as boundaries on this northeast corner over here. There's some issues that they had to work out with exactly where the property boundaries were. That document, they just finished up the elevations of our storm drains, and they finished up the survey, the part of the survey that was required as a part of SWIFMUD, because you have a SWIFMUD permit here. So that is completing the end of February. We'll get that to Copley Design. He'll be putting together 3 concept drawings of the park as to what we're looking at. I think the last time I talked with Drew, I passed on some information with Wildlife Commission as far as some type of fishing docks or piers out here. That was one of the things I think y'all looked at in the past, and that's where that'll be one of the concepts. So.
Okay. All right, any questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, item 7A, which we added, was discussion on the community center rental rate increase. We had a workshop prior to this meeting where Melanie did a great job sort of outlining all the existing costs and the options. And so I think we had a consensus that we wanted to bring forward. If somebody has that summarized.
Yeah, I think we wanted to raise, the consensus was to raise the fee for renting the community center to $2,300. It's currently $1,800. To add a $200 non-refundable cleaning fee and a damage deposit, which would be refundable, of $200. To have that effective for the next person that calls in and wants to rent the place, or as soon as we can change it on the website, who wants to rent it for a function.
Okay. Any further discussion on that?
I move to approve that change.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Mayor and City Council comments. Ann?
I went to the Big C meeting last week, the January meeting, and the one thing, once again, the Beach Watch, or the county, is paying for the Big C's dues to the Florida Shore and Beach Preservation Association. It's like $6,000 or $600, I forget. It's a big dues fee, and the county's paying for it.
So that's reduced the dues that we, the city, pay to the Big C, which is really nice for all of us. Let's see, they got a report from the Florida Shore and Beach Preservation Association, FSBPA, on what's going on in Tallahassee on beach renourishment funds. It's not quite what they were hoping for, but it looks like there's enough going back and forth between the governor and the House and the Senate that we might end up with about $30 million in funding for beach renourishment for this next year. And they're not identifying individual projects yet for 2017, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. And then there was an associate sea turtle biologist from Clearwater Marine Aquarium that did a really nice presentation on the 2015 sea turtle nesting season, and I think everybody on the board was sent a copy of that presentation. It was very interesting. Pinellas County, we had, I think, a record for the number of loggerheads that nested in Pinellas County this year, and in the total number of hatchlings that made it to the water. So that was kind of nice. And the city each year recently has been budgeting a certain amount of money for wreaths across America, to buy wreaths for Bay Pines National Cemetery. And in December we had more than double the number of wreaths that we've had in the last 2 years. I think we had a total of 1,700 wreaths this December, where last year I think we had only 800 and 500 the year before that. So that was really nice to see that many more wreaths. And considering that we have over 30,000 headstones there, I'm still advocating for more people to participate in purchasing wreaths for Bay Pines. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Mitch?
No, I'd just like to thank Alan for his efforts on the undergrounding work there. It seems like some progress there, maybe taking the approach of eating the elephant a little bite at a time. Seems to make a lot more sense. We won't have the huge engineering costs and estimating fees up front that we get nothing for if we don't do it. So
Right.
this seems to make a lot of sense, so thanks again.
John?
Yes, same thing. I'd like to thank Ellen, I'd like to thank Melanie for her hard work, and I'd like to thank Mr. Moran for his interest in the city and coming forward and, applying for the Parks and Recreational Board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Leslie?
A few weeks ago, I attended a Suncoast League of Cities meeting, and it was held at the Military Museum in Largo. If you haven't been there, you've got to go. It has two purposes: one, to honor those who have served, and other, to educate about the museum. It's a fascinating place. Great exhibits, tanks, there's a MiG outside. It's just fascinating. I would highly recommend going there. That's all I've got.
Okay. All right, I think I'm good. Paul?
Last time we met, I was directed to give a final notice to David Orr, President of Offshore Fuel Incorporated. That was done on the 16th of January. There are now two issues facing us. Number one, I need a green light to go ahead and sue Mr. Orr and his company. That's number one, if you want to get it covered. But number two, and I think that Leslie might also explain what I'm about to say in much detail. And that is that when you've got a claim against someone who's caused damage to your city or your property, you go after all the potential tortfeasors. There's no question about Mr. Orr and offshore fuel being one of them. But technically speaking, master agent on a master agent principal, master servant relationship, that property owner is equally as responsible. If I go after Mr. Orr, I almost feel duty bound that I've got to go after that property owner. I mean, you can tell me not to do that, no, and I won't. So, I mean, maybe Mr. Orr can explain it to you why that's so necessary.
I have one thing to say. Lois Chapman was there today to get her beach sticker, and she asked me, she said, well, have you heard what's going on? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And she said that his attorney, Mr. Orr's attorney, was suing the insurance company. So that's what I heard this morning. I did let Paul know. But
And I understand why, because they're viewing the insurance company's failure to protect on a breach of contract basis. And I don't know whether the insurance company gave them a reservation of rights letter or didn't, or just flat said, no, we're not going to cover it. And I can understand they're taking the position, what do you think we bought the insurance for? And I think that's the direction they're going to go. But I'm not sure that we should third party ourselves in the middle of that mess, but deal with it separate.
That was going to be my question, could we intervene in that lawsuit? But I agree that if we have to go ahead and sue Mr. Orr, we do need to sue the homeowner, unfortunately.
Not that I want to, Leslie, but
Right, no, I know, but I think, I'm not here for my legal opinion, but I agree with yours. Do we know the status of their lawsuit? Do we have like a case number or anything so that we can follow it? We can probably
No, but I'll
search
find
through
out.
the county records and just kind of keep an eye on how their lawsuit is going.
I'll find out.
Nancy, is he actually suing the insurance company, or is he suing his agent?
Mrs. Chapman said the insurance company.
Because if I remember when he was here, there was a question whether his agent, told him, okay, you're covered, and he wasn't, and,
She said the insurance company.
but that could be, like I said, in someone's mind, when they say you're suing their insurance company, it could be the person who sold them the insurance.
Right.
They may be going in that direction as well on an errors and omissions
Yeah.
basis, but I don't know.
We do have a copy of the actual policy. He brought that in for us, so.
Right, that's why I said I'd be interested to see if he's going after the company or the agent.
Okay, so is there a consensus, I guess, to add this to the agenda next month, or do we need to? I think we need to.
I'd say we put it on next month. I don't
Yeah.
think we're in any
Right.
danger of running into any statute of limitations,
Right.
matches event or anything.
Now, what correspondence have we had with Mr. Orr since we sent him a bill? Any discussion at all? I don't know if he's contacted. So he hasn't made any.
He doesn't respond back. He doesn't respond back to Nancy.
Okay, all right. Okay. So we add that to the agenda for March.
You'll see, you're not giving me a green light tonight.
No.
Okay.
I know you're anxious.
Oh, I'm not anxious, truthfully, I'm not anxious.
Does it have to go on the agenda for next month, or can we vote on that now?
Yeah, I would wait. I mean, we're talking about, I just think it should, a little bit more discussion, a little bit more, because we're talking about suing a resident and suing, I think it deserves a little bit of thought and discussion. It's not on the agenda for now, so I think it's worth waiting. If you can share, Paul, whatever, more details about what the next steps would be and how that would work out and what the potential cost to the city would be to follow this, because.
Okay, anything else? Get expensive, but
Right.
you don't have any objection to my at least asking the property owner to alert our insurance company with regard to our potential claim? Or do you want me to hold on that as well?
I think we sort of already, when they were here at that one meeting, I think we brought up that issue. So, it's not something that would be foreign to them if we decide to go that way. I just think we ought to put it as an agenda item. That's
I agree.
So,
Maybe let them know we're adding it as an agenda item,
yeah, then,
so that Paul and Lois can show up if they want to.
yeah, okay, all right. Anything else, Paul?
Yes. There's a gentleman of the name of Mark Mitchell who owes the city $1,840 minimum, plus 18% statutory or contractual interest. And I've been in communication with Ms. Diane Nelson, the tax collector's office, and she's assigned one of her specialists to give me everything I need in order to prepare to file a lien for all the monies due, including attorney's fees, against his boat, wherever it is. I'm still trying to ascertain, Alan, I don't know, is that boat there in slip number 13 or not?
I'll find out tomorrow morning.
So this is rentals at the marina that he's behind? Okay.
It has been.
Yeah, and the latest, I understand that the boat may not even be there.
We'll know tomorrow.
And I've also asked that we could use the Sheriff's 1028 process, as they say, to just verify the ownership. Trying to go through DMV is a pain. Yeah. And it's easier just to do it through law enforcement.
Okay, I mean, do we need to take any action here?
No, I'm just working on I have a full, obviously, ready to go. I just want authority to go forward and put this lien. Okay?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. How long has this money been due?
He's from day
September.
one, every month he was consistently late. Works in the late fee every month.
The $1,840.50 according to Melanie, she got it today for September through January. And if the boat is not there, so we're gonna have to regard it as abandoned, so I'm not sure if the February 350, 310 would apply, so I'll take a look, so I get an answer.
How many months does that 1,800 represent?
5, September, October, November, December,
Right. Anything else, Paul?
I think that's enough for me.
All right, Nancy?
Yeah, I just want to thank Patty and Melanie and Alan again for their meetings that they had as far as the rental of the facility and gathering all the information and then bringing it to me, and they did a great job, and I really do appreciate your help. And Alan, thank you for your continued working with the undergrounding of utilities, Bayside Park and Morgan Park as well, so thank you.
Wait till you see the budget.
No. We don't talk about that yet. And that's it.
All right,
Can I ask one question?
yes.
I noticed on the code enforcement list that there was an item about one of the owners who's been renting for less than 90 days. Was that the gentleman or the family that was listing on Airbnb?
Yes, it was.
And are they still planning on doing that?
As far as we know, no. We did bring them in and actually sat down and talked with them, and they said that they were unaware of the ordinance. They went ahead and paid their $100 fee. They purchased the home to actually retire in it someday, and so they're very careful and very selective to the people that they have been renting to. But we were told that they would no longer do it. They know that they cannot rent for less than 90 days.
When you're doing it 4 days at a time on Airbnb, you're not very
Right.
careful or selective.
That's right. No college students, no, professional people, so.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.